All right, so good day, everyone. Again, I'm Christian Ryan Bautista. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, fellow classmates of this subject. So I was tasked to present to you the introduction of Philippine lexicography. Okay, so let me share to you a brief my presentation for uh, this report. Okay, so I hope it is visible now. The soul of a language, they said that, or the soul of a language is its lexicon. Okay, and the use of the lexicon in oral or written texts is its expression. Okay, that means that the lexicon reflects the culture. It reflects the culture of people, their worldview, their values, their taboos, their aspirations, the intercultural and intracultural relationship, and even their history. Okay, so perhaps no other study, ladies and gentlemen, of a language and culture is more productive and revealing than that of its lexicon. Okay, so today, let me share to you a brief history of lexicography and relating this to the national language. All right. So by uh, by the late 16th century, four religious orders from Spain were at work on major Philippine languages. So we have here the Dominicans, Augustinians, the Franciscans, and the Jesuits. So their work was given impetus by the ecclesiastical junta, which decided that the message of the church should be conveyed in indigenous languages. Okay, so their decision was um, reinforced by the instruction of the Spanish crown in 1596 that friars must learn how to use and how to speak their native languages. So over the years, there was a vacillation. I say vacillation, that is the inability to decide between different opinions or actions, of course, by both the church and the crown on the matter of language policy. So the church began to doubt that the gospel could be adequately conveyed by indigenous languages. And the crown eventually became concerned that outside Manila, the Spanish language was not being adequately adopted. But despite mixed signals, friars kept at their lexicographic work. And by the end of the Spanish regime in 1898, had produced an impressive volume of lexicographic material. Lots of lexicographic material, and some of it are of high quality, I should say. So we can consider some of these notable works, and one of this is from Father Alonso de Mentridas in his Vocabulario de la Luenga. Yan. We also have Father Pedro San Buenaventura in his Vocabulario de la Tagala in 1613. We also have Marcos de Lisobas in his Vocabulario de la Luenga Bicol. We also have Juan de Noceda and Pedro de Sanlucar in their Vocabulario de la Luenga Tagala in 1754. Okay, so these are the first contributors, notable contributors in lexicographic work. Okay, but during 20th century, okay, Father Maurice Van Overberg produced a number of outstanding lexicographic works in Ilocano, Isnag or Itnag, and of course Kankanay together with Father Leo James. Okay, and they have produced Tagalog English dictionaries. They have produced uh, lots of Tagalog and indigenous dictionaries. Okay, and there were also numerous foreign scholars that contributed in lexicographic works in the Filipino language. We have here um, Geoff Kaufman, Michael Foreman, Richard Benton, Lawrence Reed, David Zork, and John Wolfe. They have produced a Visayan English Dictionary. They have produced Kapangpangan Dictionary for Michael Foreman, Pangasinan Dictionary for Richard Benton. We also have English and Bontoc Dictionary for Lawrence Reed, and the Dictionary on Kalibo from Kalibo Aklan. And of course, we have David Zork and John Wolfe in their Cebuano Visayan. The Cebuano Visayan Dictionary is also a major Cebuano lexicographic contribution during their times. Okay, in local in our local scholars naman, okay, we also have Pedro Serrano. Pedro Serrano is very famous in his Dictionary Hispano-Tagalog, okay, and his Tagalog and Iloco Dictionario, okay, and this creations of Pedro Serrano are both accurate and extensive, recognized as reliable lexicographic references in Tagalog, in indigenous dictionarios. Okay. We also have here Vito Santos in his Viscasan's Filipino English Dictionario in 1978, including Ernesto Constantino creating Ilocano Dictionary. Okay, so every Iloco teachers knew who is Ernesto Constantino, the creator of Ilocano Dictionario. Okay, now um, let's move on to lexicography and the national language. Okay, all right. So when the religious order under Spanish regime were first faced with the linguistic complexity of the country, just like what we were talking a while back, it was decided that a single lingua franca must be chosen, and Tagalog was chosen. So this continued to be the policy throughout the Spanish regime, and the longing and desire for a truly indigenous national language were assumed by Filipino scholars and other scholars in the late 1800s, and work in making this reality is currently being vigorously pursued until now. So this includes the development of a lexicon to follow for freedom of expression in registers not treated in early Filipino literature. Okay, so um, there are three, or in lexicography, this is one of the most significant. Okay? It is one of the most significant forces in the development of the Filipino language, both the standardization and the intellectualization of Filipino as the Philippine national language require much lexicographic work. So a representative monolingual dictionary will not only add prestige, okay, to the language and possible recognition from non-speakers, but it will also provide a source of reference the moment the national language is taught in schools. So there are three. Okay, I think this was also presented during our previous meeting, a face-to-face meeting with Doc Marta. So three most current Filipino dictionaries have been developed and represented the lexicographic tradition of Filipino as a language. So these monolingual lexicographic works are not translation focused. Remember, they're not translation focused, but instead these are more on definition focused. So the three works were published by two of the most authoritative institutions of Filipino language. If you are familiar with the KWF, or the Commission sa Wikang Filipino, formerly the Institute of National Language, then later the Linangan ng Wika sa Pilipinas o sa Pilipinas. And we also have the Sentro ng Wikang Filipino, or the SWF. Now, the oldest of the three is the first edition of the KWF. Then here comes now your Linangan ng Wika sa Pilipinas, Diksyonaryo ng Wikang Filipino in 1989. So the second one is uh, the centennial edition of the same dictionary in 1988, and still published by the KWF, or the Commission ng Wikang Filipino. And the last one is the UP Diksionaryong Filipino. The UP Diksionaryong Filipino is commonly used by Filipino teachers and Filipino researchers. Okay? And the UP Dictionaryong Filipino, being the most recent, of course, is rendered a relatively more comprehensive analysis in this undertaking. So, Filipino lexicography was supposedly set about during the time when the idea of national language became a national issue. All right? So, lexicography became a tool, okay, to proliferate the idea that the national language was being developed after Executive Order number 134 of the 1937 Constitution, and it was passed. So the three dictionaries were the most comprehensive institution of national language in the Philippines, the KWF and the SWF. All right, just like what has been presented in our screen. Okay, so the development, okay, of Filipino as national language, okay, is apparently the main driving force behind the research efforts and the publication of these three dictionaries. So dictionaries are seen to have a massive influence on the eventual standardization of a language, and the development of these dictionaries is inevitable concern in language planning and in the formulation of language policies. So apart from being the most comprehensive, these three Filipino monolingual dictionaries were the only works that satisfy the basic standards of monolingual lexicography. Okay, so the development of Filipino lexicography, therefore, largely depended on the formation of these three dictionaries. Okay, and the development of dictionary served as a guide to those who have plans to either write or acquire Filipino dictionary. Now, the debate of whether it is Filipino or Filipino, just like I think this was presented, shared by Dr. Mersa, or Sir Mersa, will not be a matter of discussion anymore in the development of lexicographical works. So this issue had already settled legally in the 1987 Constitution, specifically on Article 14, Section 6 of the 1987 Constitution, that states that, okay, the national language of the Philippines is Filipino. As it evolves, it shall be further developed and enriched on the basis of existing Philippine and other languages. Yan. So, Sir Mirza, thank you for this article, or this part of the 1987 Constitution. Okay, good reference. So, upon looking, ladies and gentlemen, at the contents of this dictionary, okay, however, the three dictionaries seemingly shared um, a common mistake, okay? That all of them relied on secondary sources, and this was discussed by our beloved teacher, Doc Martha, during our previous discussion, that these three were or these three has a common mistakes. Yeah. So all of them relied so much on the secondary sources, okay, and or previous works of their corpuses. So the process of collecting lexicographic uh, evidences or corpus through secondary sources is already obsolescent. Okay, it's already obsolete, especially during these times when native speakers are easily accessible and the language is being actively used in various forms of media, in various forms of any media that the people are using. So this is limited to monolingual dictionaries since they better represent the lexicographic tradition of Filipino as a language. Okay? So unlike bilingual dictionaries, monolingual dictionaries are not, again, translated focus, but instead they are more on definition focused. Okay? So, yun yung common na pagkakamali ng monolingual dictionaries natin, but they are still extensive and comprehensive. So, the development of good monolingual dictionaries is imperative to national language development. And it is a milestone in national language development and must be nurtured and developed. So a successful monolingual dictionary will symbolize that the national language has come of age and it is being sustained by a sizable corps of Filipino scholars as well as a sizable national community literate in the national language. All right, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your patience in listening my report. So, thank you so much and God bless.